G'day everyone, Lucas here from the Aussie Gamers Experience, and today I'm going to take a look at my experience with 3D printing. Alright, so first up in this video, let's get straight into checking out some of the prints that I've been printing with my new 3D printer, and then I'll give you a look at what 3D printer I've chosen and how it works. First up, one of the latest prints that I've done, which is probably one of the bigger ones, and I really think it turned out awesome, and that is the Incredible Hulk right here. I printed this in one piece, and he had a whole bunch of supports that were supporting his arms, because essentially if you look at the way this is, the bottom section of this arm actually starts printing before it's connected to the body. So it sort of prints in thin air, so there's a lot of supports that go up here, and if you look underneath, it kind of is a bit messy under there where it connected to the supports, and it wasn't really doing a very good job with the supports. And that's something that I guess you can use different software for, or just set up a little bit better to get a better print where the supports meet floating in air parts. Now I've got a bucket here that are full of all my offcuts. Essentially it is like a lot of support material. This is some of the supports from the Incredible Hulk there. I've got a few failed prints here, which is weird. I think the filament went bad on that one, but I designed this box and it has a working hinge. 3D printed all in one piece. I didn't have to put anything together, but too bad the actual print failed. Right, next up is one of my earlier prints, and I have shown this one off on Twitter before, but it's my Batman. Now this one I've painted as well. I went for the old school grey and black look there, and gave him some like piercing eyes. Batman has seen some stuff, man. And yeah, I really like this print. It's one of my first ones, and I'll remember and cherish this forever. And if you don't know me, I absolutely love Batman, and that may be evident with what I've been 3D printing. Now this one's a really cool one. I reckon there's probably a few people on my Twitter that will appreciate this one. It's not completely finished with the painting. I haven't given it an overcoat of clear just yet, so it's not as glossy as it can be. And there's a couple of bits I need to touch up on the paint, but it's Sonic the Hedgehog. How cool is Sonic? That looks really cool painted. It looked okay when it was printed, but once you give it that coat of paint, oh man, and I'm not a great painter. This is very simple painting, and I was just looking at a picture that I downloaded off the internet to get the color scheme right, and it turned out I reckon bloody fantastic. What do you reckon? Leave me some comments. What do you think of these 3D prints? They're not perfect, the paint's not perfect, but they're great fun, and they'll make good pieces to put up in a display cabinet once I eventually get one. Okay, the next one I actually printed just overnight, and I actually made a video of me taking this out of the printer, but I stuffed up half that video with the audio and forgot to make sure the microphone settings were right. But this is from Nier Automata. I can't remember the character's name. I think it's a number, like 7 or something, 6 maybe. And she's got a nice butt, but there's a weird misaligned part of it there. And overall, it's an okay print, but this is probably one of the worst ones. I don't know what happened with this one. I think it was quite demanding with what it is. But yeah, this is a neat little print there. Next up is something that I designed completely myself to avoid copyright, and also to make something cool to give away to some of my viewers, and it's an Aussie Gamers Experience trophy, which I've painted in gold. I've made up that little D-pad with the AGE on the buttons there. Wish I could take credit for the age idea. I originally had ABC, and my wife said, why don't you have AGE for Aussie Gamers Experience? I have to go and change the design now. That's a pain in the ass because it's a better idea than mine. But anyway, that's how that came about. And it was printed in 2 pieces. So I had to actually make sure that these lined up when it was printed, and it did perfectly. I was really happy with that. Now I've been using a free program that's online called Tinkercad. If you like doing 3D designs, check out Tinkercad. It takes a little bit to get used to, but it's actually quite simple. It's designed for children, so I've got my head around it okay. But for what it is, it's actually pretty good. All right, next I've got to point out, most of you guys from Twitter will know already, but I've 3D printed a whole bunch of controller wall mounts, and I actually made that one myself because I didn't really like the ones that were downloadable. Oh, I should mention that most of these things, other than the stuff that I've made myself, I've downloaded from websites, one of two websites. It's either Thingiverse or My Mini Factory, and there's some pretty cool stuff on there. Thingiverse is a bit of a lucky dip whether you get a good file. My Mini Factory is a little bit more pedantic about what files they allow to be downloaded. They all make sure that every single file that is downloaded from My Mini Factory is printable, so that's cool. All right, the last thing that I'm going to show is this thing, and it is a beast, and it's probably my pride and joy at the moment. This is a cool Batman statue that I got off, I think this is available on Thingiverse and My Mini Factory, but there's some really cool photos up on those websites that show off different paint jobs that people have done. And while some of them looked amazing, I found that this style was probably the easiest to make look the coolest. I'm not a great painter, but I just undercoated this in black and then used a oil-based silver paint and did a dry brush effect. That's where you just get a brush, put it in some paint, rub it all off on something until there's pretty much nothing left, and then you just roughly go over the entire model, and basically the paint sticks to the upper ridges and gives you this kind of effect. It looks really cool, I think. But yeah, that's the 3D prints that I have made. They live on my desk at the moment, but I'm hoping to display them quite soon. Let's have a look at the 3D printer itself, shall we? Let's move over there. Alright, so here is my 3D printer. It is called the FlashForge Adventurer 3, and the reason why I picked this one is because there's a couple of things that is quite difficult to get right when you're getting started, and this thing ticks all the boxes. It has a level bed that you don't have to manually adjust. A lot of 3D printers will need you to adjust and make sure that the actual bed itself here is level, and that's pretty hard to do, you know, and it's pretty important. This one, it is built in, level, and doesn't move, which is something I thought was really cool. Now also, this printer here is able to print in multiple types of material. Mainly I use PLA because it's cheap, it's easy, and there's not a lot of fuss with it. However, you can pick ABS, which is a different type of plastic. It's a lot more robust, but it's trickier to print with. You need a heated bed for that. So this thing itself will actually heat up to help with it to the print to adhere to the actual bed, which is something you absolutely must have for ABS. Also, it's having a full enclosure as well, keeping the heat inside, which is important when printing with ABS. Now also, one of the cool things about this one is that it has a removable print bed which is flexible. Now that is paramount to getting your prints off easy. Now there are a lot of printers out there that have a rigid print bed that can't be removed, and you got to use like a spatula to get them off. It's a pain in the ass, and it can damage your prints. So this one is awesome that you can easily just slide that out. It's heated, you can flex it to take things off, and it's really, really user friendly. Now the print size is 150 by 150 by 150, so it can give you some reasonable sized prints. One of the downfalls of this printer is this side here, where the filament is actually housed inside the printer. Now that's actually pretty cool for it being nice and neat, but the only thing is you are restricted to 0.6 kilogram reels. So if you want to get a 1 kilogram reel, which is a lot better value for money, it won't fit in there. So you can do it, you'll just have to mount it externally or get some sort of adapter, which you could probably 3D print with your 3D printer, and that's something I'm looking at doing going forward. Now the Adventurer 3 has a built-in touchscreen here, which is how you can manually control the system. I predominantly just use it on the network and could hit print on the computer, and it comes across just like a normal printer. The touchscreen is not fantastic. It's a very old school style. where you've got to put a bit of pressure on there, otherwise it doesn't sort of sense that you're touching it. So you put a bit of pressure and it'll go in. But you know, that's a minor thing, and I don't use it very much anyway. Can I even get this to... Okay, it is now doing the adjusting. What a pain in the ass. I pressed the wrong thing. Now, another thing on here is you can actually use a USB thumbstick to put your prints on there, and you don't need to use your computer at all. But the weird thing is, it actually has a built-in camera, which you can see there, but you can't use the USB at the same time as using the camera. Now, not a major issue, but if it switches between the two and you're not aware, you can't use the... I don't know, it's confusing. Leave it on auto. Another thing that isn't really ideal with this thing is once it's finished printing, it kind of just stays in this sort of state. It'll say build complete on the screen and it'll just stay like that. And it sort of just is on, doesn't go into a sleep mode at all. You need to physically switch it off using the power switch down there, otherwise it just stays like this, and I guess it's a little bit of a waste of electricity. Something else to consider as well, if you're thinking that you want to do like a YouTube channel with 3D printing and you want to do really cool time-lapse videos, this kind of printer is probably not suited for that, because the bed actually moves backwards and forwards where it's not static. For a good sort of time-lapse video, you probably want a static bed where you have the print head like this moving on all axes, because when that moves, it sort of jumbles it around and doesn't make the video look so good. Unless you can mount the camera to the print bed without throwing it out and without getting in the way of the head, you could probably get a better time-lapse video, but I guess that's not really something I care about too much. Okay, I hope you really enjoyed taking a look at my 3D prints and my printer, and hopefully I've given a bit of a quick overview of how it all works and how to get started if you're super keen on doing this sort of thing. If you've got any questions, comments or concerns, put them down below, give this video a like and please subscribe. Happy to give you guys some answers if I can, or you can head across to our Discord channel, links are in the description. And there's a specific channel there for 3D printing. Go ahead and ask any questions you may have about this whole process. If I can help, I will, absolutely. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I am Lucas, and until next time, I will see ya!